Welcome to the lounge, where we challenge accountability. I'm Urban, and we don't do surface talk here. We use emotional intelligence, thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Every beat a question, every bar a lesson. I turn the mic to a mirror, life's a session. Urban in the mix, soul and intellect blend. We ain't just talk truth, we set trends from Dallas to the world. We break that ceiling, no clout, just facts, that's the real feeling. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Trap drums drop, but the message don't fade. Every thought sparks like a hand grenade. Faith, pain, love, and drive all collide, that's how minds revive. All collide, that's how minds revive. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Mind open wide like a city skyline. Every topic shaped by design. The urban lounge where ideas ignite. Late night thoughts under podcast lights. Every episode of thought design. The urban lounge where iron sharp iron. We build from the ground like truth rewiring. Can't fake what's felt when the mic's ignited. If you listening now, you already invited. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking.
Warning, the following image and or content may be disturbing, offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Real quick community guidelines before we start the show. Now I want y'all to know that this is a space for respectable, thought-provoking conversations. We encourage intelligent discussions, different viewpoints, and respectable debates. Disagree if you want, but do it with substance and respect. Self-promotion is not allowed. This is not your billboard. Links, spam, and promotions in the comments or in live chat will be blocked immediately. Distasteful trolling, insults, or bad faith behavior will not be entertained. You will be blocked and banned. No warnings, no back and forth. Finally, y'all will notice that the subscriber mode is on. It is only for 5 minutes, y'all. 5 minutes. That way we can protect the integrity of the show and also protect the integrity of people who actually want to comment in the comment section faithfully, all right? We're here to think, challenge ideas, and grow, and not derail the conversation. If you're here in good faith, then I welcome you. Y'all enjoy the show.
Yeah, I want to talk about why men are crashing out. So at 6:30 today, Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be talking about why men crashing out, and what's going on, and why is it dangerous. So I'm watching a lot of men not get the truth, and we are supporting reckless behavior with emotions and all this other stuff, and no one's ever telling men how the world changed. Somehow men are usually the last one to know that the society has changed, right? Shout out to Anton Daniels, man. I don't agree with some of the things that he says, but one of the things I respect him for is that he keeps people abreast of current events and how the world changes and how things are changing in front of us. A lot of you men don't understand that your behavior and your actions are affecting so many other people, right? And I say men because most women talk, right? Most women talk, but our actions, because we have a tendency for violence and we are more actionary, is actually dangerous. Especially when you're talking about emotions. And I'm watching a lot of men crash out on stuff online. They hear something or say something online, or somebody say something online, all of a sudden they're crashing out. They're ready to go fight the person, they're ready to go kill the person, they're ready to go do all this foolishness, right? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It really doesn't make any sense. You can simply unfollow. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a series of stories that actually help you. So some of you that think it's okay to do, you realize you shouldn't, you don't think you want to do that. So my homeboy made a video that went viral, right? And beautiful video or whatever, but somebody disagreed with him. He out in Michigan and he's out in the streets having a good time with his lady or whatever. So dude seen him, right? Decided that he was going to run up on him. My homeboy ain't got time for all that. And he wasn't going to get into it. So the dude grabbed him, right? He pushed him off there. Police were called. My homeboy ain't going to jail for nobody. So police, somebody pulled out a camera, because sometimes, see, a lot of us in the hood, we forget that there's cameras everywhere, right? Because we so wrapped up in our emotions, we forget that somebody's documenting something. Police look at the footage, see the guy was the aggressor, arrest him. The guy gets in the freaking car and begs my homeboy, please don't press charge. Please, man. I just got a good job. My wife is going to be tripping right now, man. Come on, man. I just got back on my feet. I'm sorry, man. I apologize, man. I just got a little bit upset. Please, brother, please. Call them brothers and all that. Homeboy was like, nah, Slim, you should have thought of that before you did it. Now, back in the day, he would probably be out by Sunday, get processed, and he'd be out on Sunday. That was the 90s, the early 80s, 90s. Now, you going to sit in that sucker for 2 to 3 weeks. So that job that he just got, he just lost. He ain't going to show up on Monday, right? And because now he a liability, they probably let him go. And now to his wife got to pick up whatever slack that he left off. Now his kids can't see him no more. Now his kids got to worry about how reckless dad is, because he not paying attention to what he's doing. Because dad want to crash out over some emotions. Now, here's the deal. That could have went a different way. My man could have said, you know what? Bam, took him up out of here, and would have been well in his rights. I don't understand the logic of why some of y'all think it's okay to run up on people. I don't understand that. Not everybody is what you need to run up. You hear something online, the best thing to do is say, hey, I'm unfollowing you, man. I'm not gonna run up on you. I don't see you. It's on sight. Nah, man, we grown, especially over 40. Over 40, there is no mercy for anybody over the age of 40 in courts. You don't believe me? This guy got emotional on this app, put this dude's address out there, and put the school where he went out, his school where his kids go to. Somebody showed up at his school. They called the police, and the girl, she ratted. She said, well, where you get the address from? Where you get that? She had a screenshot of the dude and the live that he was on. That dude got 3.5 years in prison. He in jail to this day. 3.5 years in prison. You know why? Because it's a federal offense. Federal offense. I forgot. I think they said he ended up. Somebody did a video about it, and it was like he got 3.5 years in prison, and after that he got to do 6 or 7 years of probation. Do you have that type of time? Your life doesn't, you have that type of time. Your life don't mean nothing where you're going to allow your emotions to dictate who you are. Listen, there's some stuff I hear I don't agree with. I'm going to follow you, because I don't want you to come on my timeline, because I'm not going to see you like, yeah, man, I'm going to go fight you. I'm 47 years of age. What I look like fighting you, man? 2 grown ass men, more than grown. The cops gonna get us, and they're gonna arrest both of us. And now both of us are inconvenienced. A lot of you men don't fucking think. You think with your emotions. You think because what you say and what all this other stuff matters, dog, because nobody loved you enough to freaking correct you and give you the truth. So they sit here and they let you crash out because they want to see the freaking aftermath of your destruction. They want to see you destroy. Yeah, hey, dog. Yeah, he said this about you. Yeah. And see if you do it. Let me tell you something, man. I'm watching these young dudes. They send these old heads out here that think they still got some ties to the streets. They send them out there to go do their dirty work. And them suckers be sitting 40 and 50 years old, man, going to prison, going crash out. They ain't got no respect for these dudes. When these dudes supposed to be OGs, supposed to be on a different level. Nah, man, I got this nice little rocking chair, got my lady and whatever, man, and I'm going to go home. All right, OG. Hey, man, get off them streets, dog. OG, offering game. These young folks listen to people like Wallow and Gilly, Anton Daniels. Some of these people, they listen and they like, I'm not crashing out like that dude. Nah, man, you want to crash out. You become a liability. Companies don't even want to hire you no more because they say, man, what you go to jail for? Oh, I put this guy's address out on TikTok. What? And you know what's crazy? Let me tell y'all something. TikTok give up your address and your IP address to the authorities. They don't even care nothing about you. You think you deleted the freaking thing? They say, yeah, this is his address right here. This is his email address. This is his IP address right here. And then, hey, I thought, man, I'm sorry. And then that man in that black robe, how old are you, sir? 40 what? Yeah, we're gonna give you the max. Because you supposed to be smart enough to know. But nobody tells you this, right? Nobody tells you this. Or you run up on somebody, let me tell you, somebody ran up on a young man, content creator, one of these young man content creators. They ain't here no more. This stuff ain't worth it. This stuff ain't worth your life, Slim. And I see it all the time. Y'all crashing out, and then you sitting here saying, man, I don't care. I ain't scared to go to jail. Get away from me, Slim. Because you telling me your life means nothing. That your life is meaningless. Or you got some type of, cosmos time that you can stop, or some ring or whatever rock that you can stop time with. Like you Thanos, you can just do this and got some time stone or something. Because I ain't got that type of time, man. And I actually like lights and air conditioning. I don't want nobody telling me when to eat and when not to eat. I don't want to be sitting next to a cell or something because that shit ain't cool, man. That shit ain't cool. I don't want that. I don't want that for my life. I want to see greatness. I want to see this. And if that's what you not want to do, then crash your own life out, Slim. But stop affecting others. Stop affecting others. I'll see you at 6:30.
Y'all know, I'm reminded of the scripture of Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Or another translation says, guard your heart with all things, because out flows the issues of life. Now, today on this episode, I'm going to talk about my crash out, but not on YouTube, okay? But I wanted to share this particular segment dealing with YouTube because I've been getting a lot of feedback from people. People come to me all the time and say, Urban, there are different people that they make content. They make content about you. Why you not crashing out about that? People will come back and tell me that, there are like other content creators, talk about either how the way I talk or how the way I articulate myself. And they make fun of my content as well too, you know what I'm saying? And then they'll come back and say, Urban, why you're not reacting to this? Why you're not saying anything about this? My brothers, the reason why I'm not saying anything about this is simply because I am deep in my purpose right now. My purpose is way more important than YouTube drama. It's way more important than YouTube beef. It's way more important than going back and forth and crashing out with other content creators that making content against me. That's why I haven't responded to it. That's why I'm not going to respond to it at all, period. Because I see a bigger purpose at work versus, doing constant commentary on beefs and Crashout and reacting to things that people say about me. My bigger purpose is that I'm looking at you, brothers. I'm looking at you, and I see the things that you're going through, in your everyday life. You're going through relationship issues. You're going with not knowing who you are as a man, or you've been taught wrong about how the way you should be a man. Their purpose is far more important to me, brothers, than for me to go and try to crash out against, content creators who talk bullshit about me. And here's another thing, too. I came to a conclusion, right? I came to a conclusion and realization of this, is that at the end of the day, I cannot stop people for talking about me. People are going to always say things about me, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. People are going to always talk about how the way I articulate my words, how the way I pronounce certain things, all kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I can't stop that. And guess what? I'm not going to even try to stop it. Because at the end of the day, hey, these people, they have every right to say what they want to say, because at the end of the day, it's YouTube. It's social media. I put myself out there for people to critique me, whether it be a positive critique or a negative critique, whether they're trying to do it intentionally to create beef or drama or whatever the case may be. I put myself out there. And so I accept that. And I take full responsibility and accountability as well, too. So my purpose now is far more greater than all of that. So that's why I don't respond to it. That's why I don't create no more content dealing with nothing like that. My content has dramatically changed over here because I know that I am fully operating in my calling now, for real. I see a problem. I see an issue. And I want to be the mouthpiece to create the solution. Because I am tired of seeing my brother suffer. I really am. I want to see us move forward. I do. If you're here right now and you're listening to this stream is going to be for you. Because this stream is going to talk about my actual crash out, not dealing with content creators, but dealing with my personal anecdotal life. And my goal for tonight is when you hear my commentary on this, that it'll give you a different perspective. It'll give you ways of how the way you can deal with things in your everyday life. My brothers, I come on here as being as me as possible. I'm not a perfect man. I'm not the smartest man in a room. I'm not the best articulate speaker in the room, but I do my very best. And I am happy and content with it. That verse that I mentioned to y'all earlier, right there, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 verse, which once again it says, above all, guard your heart, for outflows the issues of life, right? When I was going through my circumstances, right, that verse hit differently today than it did over 20 years ago. Now, when I was younger, I thought guarding my heart meant protecting it from other people. I thought it meant watching out for toxic relationships. I thought it meant it was watching out for dishonest people, or even watching out for the betrayal. And while all these things matter, I eventually discovered that the greatest danger wasn't outside of me. The greatest danger was inside of me. Now, because of an unguarded heart, it doesn't just allow other people to influence your life. It actually allows your emotions to become your leader. And that's exactly what happened to me. Now, if you're new here to the lounge, I welcome you, because y'all are in for an interesting episode tonight. Because here now at the lounge, we talk about men's self-improvement. We talk about personal accountability. We talk about leadership. We talk about faith. We talk about mental health and modern relationships through the lens of truth, discipline, and purpose. Now, today's episode is going to be one of the hardest episodes that I'm going to talk to y'all about. Not because I'm embarrassed about it, but because this conversation required me to revisit one of the darkest seasons of my life, which I don't mind sharing it with you at our period. Because there was a version of me that many people never saw. I was a man who looked like I had everything under control. A man who smiled in public. A man who kept moving. A man who kept working. A man who kept showing up. But initially, I was falling apart. Once I understand that every emotional decisions I made seemed to create another problem. One bad choice became another, then another, until eventually I found myself living a life that I didn't recognize no more. My brothers, I experienced depression. I experienced hopelessness. And there was moments where I genuinely questioned whether my future would ever be different. You know, looking back now, and I realized my life wasn't ending, but my identity was. Now, the version of me that operated from fear instead of faith. Emotions instead of wisdom. Reaction instead of discipline. Want y'all to understand that that man had to die. Not physically, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally as well too. Because God couldn't take the version of me or where he was preparing to lead me. And to be honest with you, brothers, this is what the episode is going to be about. This episode is going to be about my crash out that caused my life. Not because I physically died, brothers, but because my old way of living had come to an end before a better man could emerge. Today, I'm going to take you through that journey. We're going to talk about the emotional decision making that I did in the past, which led to my depression, which led to financial loss, which led to episodes of spiritual abuse, which led to personal accountability, and how God used one of the worst seasons in my life to begin building one of the greatest transformation that I have ever experienced. And check this out, more importantly, I will show you how my ARDDL model, my framework, wasn't something that I created just in theory. It is something I literally lived. Now, if you're a man who are carrying regret, if you're tired of making the same mistakes, if you're wondering whether it's possible to rebuild after you made a mess of your life, I want you to stay with me tonight, because this episode is most definitely for you. A matter of fact, those of y'all who are watching right now, you meant to click on this video and see this episode. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode. Shout out to everyone who's in the building. Do me a favor, y'all. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up to support the channel so you can get more of this great thought-provoking content. All right. Shout out to my boy DJ in the building as well too. He's going as Flying Guillotine, but he's 22, known as 22. But what's up with it, bro? Shout out to you, and shout out to everybody else in the building as well too, who are watching the episode. Shout out to everybody who are watching the replay of this episode as well too. Let's go ahead and go on this journey to figure out what happened to me when I had my crash out moment. Okay. Now, I want y'all to understand this, that social media has turned crashing out into an actual entertainment. Y'all are aware of that, right? Now, we've seen, different reaction videos where, we see fights break out. We see commentary where somebody is yelling. We see someone throwing and destroying property. We see someone losing control. Then we also see everybody recording it and laughing about it and sharing it out. But here's the reality behind this, brothers. Most crash outs never happen in public. Most crash outs happen in silence. They're invisible. They're silent. A man crashes out when he slowly loses control over himself. And I want you to understand that it's just not physically, but it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and most definitely financially as well too. His emotions begin making decisions that wisdom should have been making. His feelings become his compass. His pain become his counselor. His pride become his protector. His impulses become his lifestyle. That's where I found myself. And the crazy part about it, brothers, is that I didn't realize this at all, period. I didn't. Let's go ahead and react to the first clip that I want to share. Well, actually, this is the second clip. Let me share with you the second clip for tonight. I want you to listen closely to what this brother had to say about when good men crash out.
You know, when a good man crashes out, it doesn't look like anger
Dallas, salute,
or chaos.
welcome.
It looks like silence. You see, I had a crash out a few days ago. We're talking full on into the dark, endless depths of hell that is my cynical, self-destructive, painfully lonely mind. The part that nobody sees, that part that every man is told to never admit exists. Because it's weak, it's soft, it's pathetic, it's not masculine. And all the alpha bros out there will tell you to just suck it up. Don't let anybody hear about it. And good luck getting a date. Because apparently men are not supposed to have feelings. Here's the truth. When you're younger, crashing out looks loud. It's fights, it's yelling, it's screaming, it's burning bridges. But when you're a grown man and a good man, it looks like silence. It looks like nothing. It looks like sitting in your truck after work with the engine still running. It looks like staring at your phone and realizing there's no one you want to call. Not because people don't love you and those people don't exist, but you're going to be damned if you're going to burden anybody else with your issues. You look functional, but inside you're just hollow. You're empty. And here's the dangerous part. Nobody checks on good men who are still showing up, who are going to work, who are paying the bills, who look like they're keeping it together. So instead of exploding outward, good men will implode inward, quietly. You stop caring about things you used to love. You stop believing effort even matters. You stop expecting life to meet you halfway, ever. But if you don't catch it early, it'll turn into resentment. It'll turn into numbness. It'll turn into that quiet self-destruction that no one hears because it makes no noise. So gentlemen, if you're there right now, if you're emotionally exhausted to your bones, quietly angry at life, mentally broken, painfully lonely, listen to me. You're not weak, you're not soft, you're not pathetic. You're still a man. You're just overloaded. You're crashing out because you've been carrying too much for too long without ever being asked if you're okay and if you're allowed to set it down. So set it down. The fix is not blowing up your life. It's rest. It's honesty and openness with those around you who love you, and most importantly, with yourself. It's saying out loud to yourself, I'm not okay, and that's okay, because I'm still here, still fighting. Just don't hold it in, man. Let it out in healthy ways, write it down, yell it out to the wind, whatever you gotta do. Just don't hold it in until it explodes. There's a lot more I want to talk about this, including how I deal with this stuff. But I just wanted to share with you guys and hopefully still be masculine, still be a man. Love you all. Have a good night.
Let's talk about it, gentlemen. As y'all know that this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay. Throughout this whole entire month, I've been sharing with you many different ways of how we need to regulate our mental health. One of the biggest things I've been sharing with you, brothers, is that we need to be aware of our mental health. I also share with y'all that you do matter. Your mental health do, in fact, matter. It really do matter. It was something interesting that the gentleman was saying, right, as I was listening to this. He was sharing things about, as a man get to the point of crashing out, before that man bottles up his feelings. He bottles up his emotions until it explodes. And then when it explodes, he becomes numb. My brothers, I have been through that situation to where I believe that was the best course of action for me to do, is to bottle up my feelings, bottle up my emotions. And the reason why is because I was taught to do that. Many of us right now, many men right now have been taught to do that, to bottle up our feelings and emotions. And then one day you end up crashing out, you end up exploding. That's exactly what happened to me. The moment when I crashed out and I let it all out and stuff. The moment when I let it all out, I became numb. It was almost as though everything around me was destructive, but it was moving slow at the same time, if that makes any sense. But here's the thing about it. This statement that I'm going to tell y'all right now, if I were to tell my younger self this, I would be pissed off as hell. This statement that I'm going to say is that when I was younger, I was a hyper emotional man or hyper emotional male. Now, this gentleman, he mentioned about it exploding and stuff, right? So it happened that way with me. The moment when I was dealing with the situations I was dealing with, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to be transparent with you. This is what's happening at the end of my first marriage, at the very end of it. Dealing with all these different things coming at me at one single time. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to process this. I didn't know how to deal with it. Then eventually I end up exploding, crashing the hell out. But the thing about it, brothers, is that after I did it right, it didn't leave. I had developed into what is known as a hyper emotional male. If people were to tell me that I was a hyper emotional male, right, I'll say this, I'll say that, no, that's not logical. No, I'm just passionate. No, people don't understand me or understand what I'm going through. Looking back, I wasn't wrong. A matter of fact, when I think about it even further, I was wrong. I was wrong. Because I wasn't logical I was emotional. Not just emotional, but I was extremely emotional. I just happen to be very good at creating logical explanations for emotional decisions. And brothers, that's the difference. You know, today psychologists often describe this pattern through the concept of emotion dysregulation. Emotional dysregulation. Now, emotional dysregulation refers to the difficulty of managing emotional responses in a healthy, constructive way. Instead of emotions informing decisions, emotions begin controlling behavior. There's also a research that says that consistency link poor emotion regulations with impulsive behavior, relationships, conflict, anxiety, depression, and lower resilience, and reduce psychological well-being. There's a psychologist that I research on. His name is James Gross. Now, James Gross is one of the leading researchers on emotion regulation. He has demonstrated that people who learn healthy emotional regulation generally experience stronger relationships, better decision makings, and greater psychological health. Now, when I read that research, right, I wasn't reading about somebody else. I was actually reading about myself. I was reading about every disappointment that felt permanent, every rejection that felt personal, every disagreement that became a battle, and every setback that felt like proof that I wasn't enough. Now, instead of responding, I reacted. And of course, every reaction carried consequences. Now, this brings me to my first stage of my model, all right, that I created. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and share with you this model again, those of y'all who are not familiar with it, okay? This is my model right here. This is the ARDDL model. In this model, brothers, this is when I first experienced the first phase, which is the awakening phase. Now, I know what y'all going to say. I know you're going to say that awakening sounds beautiful. But in my particular case, the awakening in reality was painful for me. And the reason why, because awakening forces you to confront your truth. Not the truth about everybody else, but the truth about yourself, or the truth about myself. One of the hardest moments in my journey happened when I stopped asking, why are people doing this to me? And start asking, what role have I played in creating the life that I'm living? Brothers, that question humbled me. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying about this, okay? Because yes, people hurt me. Yes, people betrayed me. Yes, people manipulated me. Yes, some relationships were unhealthy. Some environments that I was in was also unhealthy. And what's interesting about this is that even some spiritual leaders abused their authority against me. Those are realities that I have dealt with, realities that are real. But another reality is also true is this, that I have allowed my responses to become destructive. I couldn't control what happened to me, but I can control what happened inside of me. And that's when Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 began making sense to me. When it says, guard your heart, because everything flows from it. Not some things, brother, but everything flows from it. Finances, relationships, leadership, faith, decision making, everything. And I realized I had spent years trying to change my circumstances while neglecting the conditions of my own heart. Shout out everybody who's in the building right now. D, what's up with it, bro? Culture, what's up with it? Salute to you as well, too. And salute to everybody who's also in the building as well, too. Right now, we are in the episode talking about how my crash out cost me my life. All right. Make sure you hit the thumbs up to support the channel. Okay. And so we're talking about this. We're talking about my framework. And now we're fixing to go in deeper into this conversation. All right. So I do have another one video that I want to share with y'all. All right. Y'all listen to this.
I hope this reaches for someone before it's too late, before he is automatically shut down. Because when the man is distant, he is starting to detach more and more and more and more and more. And once he is all the way detached, most of the time, there's nothing you can do to get him back. He's gone. He may come home and he may be there. It may be for the children. It may be so the finances can still be. It may be for appearances, depending on his status, whatever it is. But once his heart is detached, God can do anything. God can do the impossible. But you almost can bet your mind that you will never get him back. Don't let it get to that point. Don't let it get to that point. Let's watch how we treat him now. Watch how you treat him now so it won't get to that point.
Now I want to share this with y'all. I want to share with y'all that the things that she was saying is true. If you care about your man, it should get to the point where he's crashing out, to the point where he's numb, where he just don't care anymore. If you want to have your relationship last as long as it can, right, then you'll do everything possible to preserve that relationship. Now, the caveat behind that is that as long as the relationship isn't toxic. Now, if it's toxic where it deals with abuse and different things like that, then that's different. But if it's dealing with something that's salvageable, right, all because of misunderstanding or all because of misalignment, then why not work towards to prevent that? You know, one of my biggest obstacles to my healing wasn't the people who hurt me. It was my pride. Pride keep telling me that I'm right, that I'm the victim, that they're the problem, and they owe me an apology. Pride always looks outward, but however, humility looks inward. God wasn't humiliating me. I believe that God was humbling me. And that's a difference. You know, in what is it? James chapter 4, verse 6, it says that God opposes the proud, but give grace to the humble. And that verse also became personal to me because I realized something. I realized that if God is opposing pride, then every lesson I refuse to learn through wisdom, eventually I will learn through the pain. And that's exactly what happened. That pain became the classroom that pride refuses to enter. As painful as the awakening was, right, it wasn't the hardest thing. It wasn't the hardest stage. Because once I became aware of everything I ignored, everything I suppressed, everything I blamed on someone else, right, I entered the most emotional, dangerous stage of my life, and that is the rage stage. Now, the rage stage is not the kind that throws punches. It's the kind that silently destroys a man's peace. It's the kind that convinces the whole world is against him. It's the kind that makes emotional decisions, right, feel justified. And my brothers, that's where my real crash out began. And that's where we're going to go next. Now, Culture said this, children know when their parents are at odds. I don't believe men or women, so I wait until they detach completely because of children. Cut it off and move on. Shout out to you for your comment. Now, I want y'all to understand this. I want y'all to understand that rage isn't strength, but it's unresolved pain. Now, on the second stage of my ARDDL framework model is the rage part. Now, when people hear that word, they usually picture someone screaming, right? They picture someone punching walls, throwing things around, starting fights. But that wasn't my rage. Sometimes rage can be the silent. It could look like bitterness. It could look like resentment. It could look like cynicism. It could also look like isolation. It could look like pretending I was okay while internally I was collapsing. But guess what? The truth is this. Anger is often a secondary emotion, not the first. Underneath the anger is usually something more deeper. And that deeper thing that I was experiencing was hurt, fear, shame, rejection, grief, disappointment. And for years, I thought that I was angry at everybody else. But now looking back, I was angry with myself. And the reason why I was angry with myself because I ignored the warning signs. I was angry that I stayed in situations longer than I should have. I was also angry that I kept making emotional decisions and expecting logical outcomes. The more I refused to deal with those emotions, the louder they became. A matter of fact, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 and 27 says this: in your anger, do not sin. Do not give the devil a foothold. And I want y'all to understand this, that this doesn't say you'll never experience anger, but it says to us to not let our anger overcome us or become our overall master. That's where I failed at. That's where I failed at. Instead of processing my anger, I carried it. And whatever you carry long enough, eventually start carrying you. Doris was so with a slew. Welcome. Thank you for the gift. Appreciate you. I also want to touch on this. I want to touch on the depression that I had went through during this time. Now, I want y'all to understand that depression didn't happen overnight. Because people, they often ask me this. They say, Urban, when did everything fall apart? And the honest answer to y'all is that I honestly don't know. Because I know that it didn't happen in one day. It happened at one emotional decision at a time. It happened with one compromise, one disappointment, one unresolved wound, one unhealthy response. Eventually, those moments accumulated. I wasn't just exhausted physically, I became exhausted mentally and emotionally and spiritually. I felt like I was carrying weight that no one else could see. I did. There's a research right there has consistently shown that depression in men often presents differently than many people expect. Now, while sadness can certainly be present, many men experience increased irritability, emotional withdrawal, hopelessness, difficulty concentrating, sleep disturbances, or even attempts to bury emotional pain through overworking or other unhealthy coping behaviors. Now, I recognize pieces of myself in that description that I shared with y'all, that research that I was sharing with y'all. I want y'all to understand that I wasn't living, but I was in survival mode. And surviving isn't the same thing as living. I want y'all to also understand that through this crash out moment, I was losing hope. One of the hardest things for me to admit is that there was a season where hope became difficult to see. Because every problem became permanent. Every setback felt bigger than it actually was. I had convinced myself that because I couldn't see a way forward, there wasn't one at all. And looking back at it now, I realize pain had narrowed my perspective. It made temporary circumstances feel permanent. And that's one of the lies emotional pain often tells us. It says this. It says, this is how your life will always be. It wasn't true then. And it's definitely not true now. And to be honest with you, brothers, I thank God that my story didn't end in that season. But instead, that painful chapter in my life eventually became the beginning of my transformation. Now, if you're listening today, right, and you recognize yourself in what I'm describing, I want to encourage you to encourage you to not carry this alone, okay? Because that's the mistake that I did. I want to encourage you to reach out to someone you trust, whether it's a friend, a family member, a counselor, a therapist, pastor, or another trusted person. Because I want y'all to understand that asking for help isn't a weakness, but in reality, it takes courage to do that. It really do. Speaking of which, a thing that I have experienced while I was going through this, right, was known as spiritual abuse. Now, spiritual abuse is when a person of faith use their said faith or religion and weaponize it for their own purpose and gain. And normally when they weaponize this, right, they use it in a way where it end up destroying a person. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. When I was going through my divorce, right, I had preachers and bishops and overseers, right? They said this. They said that the Bible is against divorce. And since the Bible is against divorce, God has turned his back on you. And I believed it. I believed it. One of the deepest wounds I carried wasn't a financial thing. It wasn't relational. It was spiritual. There was a season where I confused people's behavior with God's character. I encounter environments where shame seems louder than grace, where control replaces discipleship, where fear overshadows love. Now, for a while, I believe God must see me the same way. But according to Psalms chapter 34, verse 18, it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. Now, this verse changed how I viewed my pain. Now, part of me still believed that God was an absent parent. But the spiritual part of me believed that God was still present. Do y'all know they also Jesus warned us in Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 to 20 to watch the fruit of those who claim spiritual authority? Not every person who quotes scripture represents the heart of God. And when I recognized that, right, it freed me. I stopped measuring God by people failures, and I started measuring people by God's truth. And this right here was the beginning of changing my worldview. This right here, where it literally freed me from religious ideology. And it freed me from being in the confounds of the church and everything. And as a matter of fact, it literally freed me from my position as being an associate pastor and everything. Because I started seeing the truth. And that truth is that a lot of leaders out there, a lot of overseers, a lot of bishops, a lot of pastors, a lot of priests out there, they're using religion. They're using God's word in an abusive way. And they believe that these actions are justified. But in reality, it's not. It's not. Now, once again, if you join this conversation I'm having with you right now about my crash out that cost me my life, make sure you hit the thumbs up to support the channel. All right. I think I got another clip I want to share with y'all real quick. Yeah, I do. I have another clip that I want to share with y'all real quick. Let's go ahead and listen to this. All right.
The only one person that you have control over actions is yourself. So that's why you could never be no crash dummy for what some woman does. Because when you crash out, that makes you a dummy. You done crashed out over somebody else's actions. You done went crazy over what a female did with somebody else. That's when you become a true fool. A lot of you guys give up your freedom and your life for some female and what she's doing without you, what she done with another
DK, thank
man.
you for the flow state.
You need to leave
Appreciate
that
you.
alone. Soon as she show that she ain't respectful for her own self, you can't respect her, and that means to leave. But you guys will just throw your whole life away for some no good for nothing female that y'all think is cool to crash out about. Yeah, man, I can't take, I'm gonna do this and that to her.
Now I know that our brother was saying a lot, okay? So let me kind of clarify some things, all right? And there's a reason why I want to share this clip with y'all. I want to share this clip with y'all is simply because that a lot of crash outs that happen with men, The common denominator is that it occurs through women. Now I'm saying that again. Many of our men crash out occurs through women. Now, if there are women who are watching this podcast right now, I want y'all to understand this clearly, all right? I'm not saying this in a misogynistic way. I'm saying this in a way because, yes, we as men, we do pick 'em. We do pick 'em. We do have a type. A matter of fact, I have said it countless of times on this podcast that, yes, us men, we have a type. We got to hold ourselves accountable and take that L that we be picking these type of women. And that all goes to the whole concept of what I told y'all earlier about us not vetting properly. But these crash out occurs due to the women that we have choose to be with in our life. We choose to procreate with them. We choose to have sex with them. We choose to have them occupy our time and effort and space. We choose to allow them to manipulate us financially, spiritually, and all sort of things. We choose to make us become beta men. We do. So these crash out occurs due to the women that we choose to be with in our space. You know, people usually think that the biggest cost of emotional decision making is money. Now, money was certainly a part of my story. Now, poor decisions affected my finances. Poor decisions also affected opportunities, and poor decisions affected relationships as well too. But my greatest loss wasn't measured in dollars. It was measured in years. Years spent reacting instead of responding. Years spent repeating patterns. Years spent blaming circumstances instead of changing myself. What y'all to understand is that regret is expensive. But regret can also become a teacher. Now, I decided that I wasn't going to waste my pain. I had decided that I want to learn from it. And here's what I learned. I learned that every man eventually reaches a crossroad. At least you should. At least you should. I learned that pain gives you two options. You can either choose to become bitter or you can become better. You can spend the rest of your life providing for people wrongly, or you can spend the rest of your life becoming right. I had to make that choice. I had to realize anger gave me energy, but it couldn't give me direction. Only wisdom can do that. Only accountability could do that. Only discernment could do that as well too. Now, the race stage wasn't the end of my story. It just became the doorway to the next stage of my model, or my framework. Because once my emotions stopped controlling my decisions, I finally began learning how to think differently. And that's when everything truly started changing. That's when I started developing discernment. But before I get to talking to y'all about discernment, I believe that I need to share this with y'all. I need to share this with y'all. I need to share with y'all that my moment, right? My situation, it had came into a very, very, very dark crossroads for me. Before I reached to the point of turning around, and following the crossroad of discernment, right? I chose something else. I chose something else. I had reached a very point of my life where I felt that I was insignificant. I felt that I was obsolete. I felt that no one didn't no longer want me. I felt that at this moment that I needed to just end it all, unalive myself. And the reason why I was feeling this way is because out of everything I tried, out of everything I did, it just wasn't working out. Each action had a reaction, but it wasn't the reaction that I wanted. It wasn't the desired resource that I was seeking for. It only made it worse. It made it worse. I ended up losing everything. I ended up losing my life in a literal sense. You know what I'm saying? Not the physical sense I can see right now because that's crazy. Y'all be talking to a ghost. But in this sense, I ended up crashing out and losing my life to the point to where I wanted to unalive myself. Because at that point, I did not have no will, no purpose, no nothing whatsoever. I didn't even want to live, to be honest with you. I didn't, because I didn't see a reason why. I did not see a reason why I should. I was in a dark place. And in that dark place, I didn't see no light whatsoever. I didn't see no light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't even see tunnel vision. I didn't see none of that. All I seen was pure darkness. And what's more interesting about it, brothers, is that I didn't even see hell. Because at least in hell, you see light. It may be hot light or whatever, but at least you see some type of light. But I didn't even see that. Have y'all ever experienced this before? Have y'all ever experienced pure darkness before? And I'm not talking about darkness where, you just turn the lights off and you can still see a little bit, right? I'm talking about pure darkness where you be in this, like, say, for example, you be in this room or in the chamber, right? And it's pure darkness. And you could feel the darkness. Have y'all ever experienced that before? I have. And that's the moment that I'm talking about. Is that I experienced that pure darkness. Where that darkness was nothingness. Pure nothingness. I couldn't see. I couldn't smell. I couldn't taste. But I can definitely feel, I don't know how to describe it. I can feel the aura of the darkness or the nothingness, if that makes sense. To be honest with you, brothers, at that time, for the first time in my life, I felt if I were to go ahead and pursue this, then I would be in peace. Because within that darkness, it was nothing. It wasn't no happiness. It wasn't no sadness. It wasn't no rage. It wasn't none of it. It was just nothingness. And so I felt at that moment in my hyper emotional state that this would be the best course of action for me to experience. This is the peace that my fellow brothers be preaching about all the time. We want peace. We want peace. And finally, I'm in this space, in this moment of time where it is nothingness. And I start equating that to peace. But in reality, I learned that it wasn't peace. I learned that it was something deeper. Before I can carry this thing out of literally unaliving myself, brothers, I had one last final thought. My thought was this. I started thinking about everything. I started thinking about how my life would be by me no longer existing on the earth. I started thinking about how this would affect everyone around me, preferably with my children as well too. Now, because I want you to understand this too, that during this time frame, right, my children are still young. They're not even teenagers yet. So I started thinking about that. I started thinking about how it would affect them. And then I came to a conclusion of this. I came to this conclusion that if I were to carry this out right, would this be selfless or would it be selfish? Now, once again, would it be selfless or would it be selfish? I came to the conclusion that it would be selfish. And the reason why is because if I were to do these things, how much of an impact it would have did to my children. That they own father, that they view him as a Superman, right? As a strong man who can take anything, take any type of punishment. This strong man who can endure anything. This strong man who was, teaching them and educating them and doing all these different things to simply unalive himself. I started thinking about how it would affect that. I started thinking about how it would affect my son. Imagine his father doing this right, and then he followed that same pattern behavior. Or my daughters followed the same pattern behavior. Because I did it. Ending their life before they really had a chance to experience anything. I broke down and I started crying hard. And the reason why is because once again I was carrying all this pain, I was carrying all this crash out, that's me, this rage and everything that I was experiencing, right? But even more, I was crying because it was literally like I seen a vision of my children's future if I were to do this. Now, once again, I don't know how to fully describe this thing. Some of y'all may not even believe this, but it's fine. But that's how the way I perceived it to be. I cried. And at that moment, that's where I changed. At that moment, that's where I started developing my discernment. At that moment, that's when I started opening up my eyes for the first time. Now, if awakening opened my eyes, right, and the rage exposes my pain, the discernment taught me how to think. And for years, I believed that intelligence would protect me. And I thought because I could analyze situations, because I can communicate, because I could solve problems, that I was making wise decisions. But in reality, I wasn't. I want y'all to understand, brothers, that there's a difference between being intelligent and being discerning. Now, it's true that intelligence gathers information, but discernment knows what to do with it. Now, intelligence tells you what's possible, but discernment tells you what is wise. Hence, my situation. Intelligence was telling me that the best course of action was for me to go ahead and just unalive myself. since nothing else is working out. But the discernment kicked in and told me that, hey, that's not wise, and this is the reason why. Once I understand that I have plenty of knowledge, but what I lack was wisdom at that time. Now, in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7, it says that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all that get understanding. Now, I've been chasing information when I should have been pushing for wisdom. And that's a huge difference between the two, my brothers. You know, one afternoon, I asked myself a question that changed my life forever. I said, Urban, if everybody who hurt you disappeared today, would your life automatically get better? Would it improve your circumstance? And I thought about that real hard because it's an honest question. The answer I came up with was no. And the reason why is because while people have hurt me, right, I also developed habits that was hurting me as well too. I had learned a lot about myself. I learned that I had attitude problems. I learned that I'd be reacting to things in a negative way. I learned that I had bad choices. Here's one. I learned that I was lacking boundaries. And I believe a lot of you brothers are lacking this as well too. And the reason why you're lacking boundaries is because we have been programmed to be sacrificial. We also been programmed that if you create boundaries, then it's going to be a negative connotation against you. So we surrender our boundaries for submission, for sacrificial purposes. Once I understand that nobody forced these things on me. These things was mine. And when I realized that, it became painful. But also it was freeing too. It freed me. Because if I could contribute to the problem, then I also could become part of the solution. You know, Jesus, he said this in Matthew chapter 7, verse 3-5. And I know I'm quoting scriptures, but trust me, it's a method behind the madness. But Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 7, verse 3-5, right? He said, why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but fail to notice the plank in your own eye? Now, for years, I became an expert at identifying everybody else's flaws through ministry and everything. But discernment have forced me to examine my own self. And by me doing that is where my true growth begins. One of the greatest miracles as well too, brothers, and I'm gonna get to comments. One of the greatest miracles God performed in my life wasn't changing my circumstances. It wasn't. The greatest miracle that God performed in my life is when God changed my thinking. You know, I kept praying that God changed my situation. But in reality, God kept answering and saying, Urban, I'm just going to change you overall. I'm going to recalibrate you. I'm going to recalibrate your mindset. Now, at first, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't even appreciate that answer. Furthermore, I believe that God was acting like an absent parent. But now that I think about it right, I'm actually grateful for it. Because if my thinking never change, neither will my life. That's why Romans chapter 12 verse 2 is very, very important, y'all. What say, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because it doesn't say that transformation begins with money. Nor it doesn't say transformation begins with relationships. Nor it doesn't say transformation begins with opportunity. But true transformation begins with your mind. Because I want y'all to understand clearly that your mind determines your decision making. It determines your habits. And it most definitely determines your habits, your character, and it determines your future. I realized, brothers, that my biggest battlefield wasn't my bank account. It wasn't my marriage. Hell, it wasn't even my career. But it was actually my mind. Now, if I get to the one coming soon for a second, but I want to share this too. I had took the time to really study psychology right. I studied not only psychology, but I studied sociology as well too. When I studied this right, something surprised me. Much of the research were discovering by human behavior and reflected principles that scripture had been teaching for centuries, right? One of the most researched forms of psychotherapy today is called cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, the ideal is simple. The way we think influences the way we feel. The way we feel influences the way we behave. When we distort thinking patterns, them patterns are a challenge. I want y'all to understand that behavior often changes. And that immediately remind me once again about Romans chapter 12, verse 2, about renewing your mind. When you renew your mind, you change your life. Now, the research has consistently showed that CBT, right, is effective in reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, emotional stress or distress by helping people recognize unhealthy thought patterns and replacing them with healthier reality-based thinking. Now, brothers, for me, psychology didn't replace my faith. It helped me better understand how God designed the human mind. In reality, truth is truth. And when biblical wisdom and sound science point in the same direction, guess what I did? I started paying attention to it. Now, once again, if you're enjoying this content, if I'm sharing some information to you that is helping you tonight, make sure you hit the thumbs up to support this channel, or you could also donate to this channel as well too, or you could even become a sponsor to this channel. I appreciate all the gifts that have been shared with me so far in the stream. Thank you for that. Appreciate everybody who's catching this live stream and also catching the replay as well too. All right. So DK say this. I totally understand. I felt that way when I got out of the military. I felt like I had no purpose anymore. Facts, facts, facts. Coach will say this. Yep, in the first season, Sadducees had the same issue. They studied and taught the law, but barely followed it. Facts, facts. Y'all know one habit that probably saved me more pain than any other is that I stopped making major decisions while emotionally being activated. Now, years ago, if someone were to upset me, right, I would respond immediately. I was doing dumb stuff. I'll send text messages, right? I'll make phone calls, right? I'll do some, if it's dealing with my job, I'll quit the job. I'll spend unnecessary money and I'll just do and say things that I'll regret. That was me being a hyper emotional male. But now I pause. I think. I process. I pray. And then I respond. Because everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. Now, being slow doesn't mean that you're being weak. It means that you're being intentional. And I learned that one discipline, pause, can prevent years of regret. Sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is simply wait. Wait. And then this discernment that I'm talking about to y'all tonight, it also changed the way how I view people. I got to the point where I stopped asking, do they like me? Instead, I asked, are they healthy for my life? Those are two different questions. I stopped chasing acceptance and started evaluating character. That's what I started doing. I started paying attention to their consistency, their integrity, their humility, their accountability, their self-control. How people treat others when no one was watching. And I realized something. I realized that discernment isn't judging people. It's observing patterns. And guess what? Patterns do predict outcomes. And that lesson transformed every relationship I have today. I got a challenge for y'all. Because I know I'm sharing y'all this information. I'm sharing y'all this wisdom about what was going on with my life, right? And the process that I went through, this transformation of me crashing out, right? But I got a challenge for y'all. I got an accountability challenge for y'all. I want to challenge y'all this. I want you to take out a journal, right? I want you to take out a journal. I want you to write down 3 decisions that you regret. I want you to ask yourself these questions. The first question is this: what emotion was leading me when I made that decision? The second question: what truth did I ignore? The next question: what warning signs did I overlook? And then the next question: what would the disciplined version of myself had done differently? Now, I want you to do this not to shame yourself, right? But I want you to do it to educate yourself. And the reason why is because every mistake can become a mentor. And if you humble yourself enough, you can learn from it. And also the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I had did the same exact thing for myself. I did. I've been sharing with y'all tonight about how my crash out cost me my life. By now, y'all need to understand that my life literally didn't end in the physical aspect, even though it came close to happening, but it didn't. My life had changed in a different way. That old life that I was living indeed had ended. But I ended up creating a brand new life for myself. The life where y'all are experiencing this right now. The life where I'm sharing my wisdom and knowledge and understanding to y'all to help you be a better version of yourself. The wisdom and understanding that I'm sharing with y'all so you won't be caught up in red pill rage, where you're crashing out, where you're sitting up here getting mad at women, you become misogynistic, where you end up being attracted to, other content creators that grift off of you, that want you to stay in this angry phase of not liking women or being upset at women. Now, I want to share this with you. I want to share about discipline. Because the reason why I want to share discipline to y'all is because this is where my life truly began to change. Not because my problems disappear, but because people suddenly apologize. Not because people suddenly apologize, sorry. But because my life changed because I decided to change it. I used to believe that I need more motivation. I thought if I could just watch another motivational video, read another book, listen to another sermon, that somehow my life will automatically improve. But in reality, it didn't. Because yes, motivation can be temporarily, but however, discipline is permanent. Motivation is based on how you feel, but discipline is based on who you decide to become. And that's true. Discipline changed my perspective. Discipline isn't something that you do once. It becomes a lifestyle. Every single day, you're either becoming a better man or you reinforcing habits of the old one. When I look at my fellow brothers, right, and I look at, some of the content that they consume, right, one or two things is happening. It should either make them become a better man or it's making them become a worse man. Understand? Let's see. But wait, Urban, wait. But I had no idea it came out of nowhere. There were no warning signs. And I know you're being sarcastic. This is the internet. Some folks are not about self-reflection and accountability. And I am very much aware of that. I also came into the acceptance of this. I came into the acceptance that I can't save everybody. My words and my wisdom is not going to change everybody. Also, people are going to be in the condition they in simply because they choose to be in the condition they in, like how I was in the past. So the only one who could save them is that they have to recognize that they need to save themselves. And now when I'm talking about saving, I'm not talking about in a spiritual sense. I'm talking about literally for as a mindset. In reality, they have to want to change. I can't force it on them. I see it every single day on my channel. I see it every single day on my shorts. I see it every single day on my community posts that I post. Different men after they share their perspective about various videos that I put out. And many of them are still indeed in a red pill rage, without a shadow of doubt. A lot of them have become misogynistic. They don't want to admit it, but they have. A lot of them have consumed a lot of content that literally reshaped their worldview in a negative way. and they're comfortable in that state of being, in that state of mind. But however, I also seen men who comment on my posts and comment on my videos and stuff, right? Where they literally open up and say, man, I am tired of this. I'm tired of living my life the way it is. I'm tired of feeling the way that I'm feeling. This video that you showed to me, Urban, yeah, I can relate to this because this is something that I'm going through right now. Them are the ones that I'm reaching out to. Them are the ones who go from watching my shorts and posting on my community walls. They end up seeing my live streams. And from there, my live streams are literally changing their life. They're the ones that I'm reaching out to. One brother at a time. That's my pace. Not the whole world, but just one brother at a time. That's my lane. And yes, facts. You can't take everybody with you. I agree. Absolutely. LBI was so with it. Yep, you can't take everybody with you. I agree. And yes, grifter are out there pushing the gender war. I also agree too. I agree. Now, once again, tonight episode, we're talking about my crash out that cost me my life. And it literally did cost me my life, where my life literally changed. I had one or two options. I could either allow my crash out to change me in a negative way, or I could learn from it, and it cost me my life in a positive way. Tonight, I'm sharing with y'all that this crash out changed my life in a positive way. Since we're talking about on this concept about saving, right? Do y'all know that one of the most freeing realizations I ever had was also one of the hardest, meaning that no one was coming to rescue me. I didn't have no one come to rescue me. No one was going to magically fix my problems. No one was going to repair the emotional wounds that I had developed. No one was going to help me build my confidence back up, because I had lost that at one point in time. No one was going to wake me up every morning and make me disciplined to push and do things every single day that I needed to get done. No one. But I realized that that responsibility belonged to me. Now, I have to agree to this, that years earlier, that truth would have made me felt hopeless for real. Because I'm alone, I'm by myself. But today, it gives me hope. Because if my future depends on the choices I make today, then I still have influence over tomorrow. A matter of fact, the Apostle Paul, he talks about Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. It just talk about continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, right? Now, Paul, he wasn't teaching that we earn salvation through works. He was teaching about responsibility. That, in other words, God transforms us. But we must actively participate in the transformation process. Faith isn't passive. Growth isn't passive. Nor leadership isn't passive. But however, God gave me the opportunity. He gave me the opportunity. And I had to do the work. One lesson that Bonner, what's up with it, bro? One lesson I wish every young man understood is this: that self-control is one of the highest forms of strength. Once again, self-control is one of the highest forms of strength. Now, the world often tells men that strength means domination, right? It means to be loud. It means being intimidating and being aggressive. But I want to give y'all a different picture. I want to give you a different perspective on this, a spiritual one. It's better a patient person than a warrior. One with self-control than one who takes a city. And this comes from Proverbs 16:32. And I want y'all to think about that. Now, God says mastering yourself is greater than conquering a city. Because I realized I spent years trying to manage other people while struggling to manage myself. The strongest man in the room isn't always the biggest. He isn't always the loudest. He isn't always the wealthiest. Sometimes he's simply the one who can control his emotions when everybody loses theirs. In reality, that's true strength. A matter of fact, and I'm going to share this with y'all. I've been on different panels and stuff, right, where, we be having these discussions about, either red pill content or relationships and different things like that. And I listen to my fellow brothers go back and forth from having these conversations. Some of these conversations get heated and stuff, right? And I sit there and I be quiet. And it always fails every single time, right? This happened every single time. Eventually, people will say, Urban, what is your perspective on this? You're being quiet. And then that's when I open my mouth and speak. And when I speak, I don't speak to try to be right. I don't speak to try to prove people wrong. I speak with authority and truth. And also, I do my best to articulate it in a way what is short, sweet, and to the point. And undebatable. Undebatable. And it happens like that every single time. People be quiet, they listen, and they don't have no rebuttal whatsoever, unless I'm just trolling people. But every single time, no rebuttal, no nothing, because it's truth. Because my mindset is different. My mindset isn't stuck on trying to be the most loudest in the room, the most articulate, the one who's trying to win debates. My mind is set on trying to help heal my brothers and help them get to the next level of their life. That's where my mindset is at right now. One thing I want every man listening to understand this, and I say this over and over and over again, and I'm going to keep drilling this in your head over and over again. As long as you come over here and listen to my content, I'm going to drill this in your head over and over again until it becomes a lifestyle. I want you to understand that you matter. You matter. Your mental health matters. There was a time when I believed that asking for help meant weakness. But today, I believe wisdom knows when to seek support. Healing wasn't one emotional breakthrough. It became a process. I want y'all to understand that some days it was encouraging. Other days it was very, very difficult. Some days I took 2 steps forwards. Some days I felt like I took 1 step back. But the interesting thing is that I kept moving. I kept moving. Now, research consistently showed that regular physical activity, healthy sleep habits, meaningful relationships, and evidence-based mental health care can improve symptoms of depression and anxiety. Now, recovery comes through steady, consistent practices. rather than one dramatic moment. That's exactly what I experienced, brothers. Because healing wasn't spectacular. It was consistent for me, just like discipline. And consistency eventually changed everything for me. It did. Another thing I notice about you is you only speak about stuff you know. You don't just talk to be talking. Absolutely. I agree with you. The righteous man is the best man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Last night you said it was more real man than download man. I recall a video you did several months ago when you said it's no real man. Now we'll talk about that another time because I'm not talking about that right now. All right. This is not the Ask Urban Anything show tonight. Okay. So we'll talk about that some other time. Terrorism cured a lot of my problems, and I agree with you on that. Any trained soldier can kill themselves as part of the training. Agreed. Agreed. You know, as I became more disciplined, right, something unexpected happened. People started paying attention, not because I was trying to impress them, right, but because consistency speaks louder than charisma. What's interesting about this is that my children notice, my family notice, my friend notice, and the artists notice as well too. People often ask me this. They say that, Urban, how did you become so disciplined? Now, the honest answer is that I got tired of living beneath the man God created me to become. Discipline became my daily act of worship. Now, every responsible decision honored God. Every healthy habit honored my future. And every temptation I resisted strengthened my character. I learned to keep growing. I learned to start trusting in the Most High God more. I learned that the things that I was planning and producing in my life, that it wasn't going to happen overnight. But I also learned that it does come. It do. It really do. Now, I had shared with y'all a challenge earlier, and I'm hoping that you will want to journalize and do that challenge. But I want to share with y'all another challenge that I want y'all to do, okay? Here's my next accountability challenge for you. I want y'all to choose one habit that reflects the man you want to become. Not 10 habits, not 20 habits, just one habit. Choose one habit that reflects the man you want to become. Then after you choose that, right, I want you to commit to it for 30 days. Not because you feel like it every morning, but because discipline is bigger than your feelings. I want you to ask yourself, what will the disciplined version of me do today? And then go do that. Do it now, not tomorrow. Do it today. And continue on doing that. That's my challenge for y'all. And y'all let me know how it goes. Now, once again, these exercises that I'm throwing out there to y'all is the same type of exercises that I did for myself that helped me develop into the man that I am right now. And so my goal is that these same exercises or these same challenges would ultimately provide the same type of results for you as well too, if you take it seriously. if you truly want to go into the next level of your life. But it's up to you. It's up to you. Let me see. I guess I addressed this. So last night you flipped the script. You contradicted yourself, and I want to be the one that call you a liar. You're a real man. A real man word is his bond. So no, I did not flip the script or anything. You know what I'm saying? Nor I don't know really what you're talking about. Now once again, I'm talking about a different episode. All right. So respectfully, respect my channel. Now, any other night, then I will address it. I'll address it and we'll talk about it. We'll chop it up. But tonight, we're not talking about that because I don't want it to mess up my commentary for tonight. All right? Respectfully. Now, you got one or two options. You can continue to listen to the commentary, which I encourage you to do. Or you could take it as disrespect and no longer listen to this channel. The choice is yours. But like I say, I'm not going to address that right now. Not because you think you're proving something right or wrong, but simply because I know what you're talking about in a sense. But I'm just not addressing it right now because that's not the conversation. Respectfully, of course. I got one more video that I want to share with y'all tonight, and I want y'all to listen to it.
The number one reason that cause men to crash out behind women is simply you don't have your shit together. You put this woman on a pedestal. You put her before your goals. You put her before your purpose. And when she do something, whether it's step out on you or she don't want to be with you, you crash out because you simply put her before yourself. This is the number one way to crash out, fellas. When you put a woman on a pedestal and you prioritize her over your goals, over your mission, you don't have your shit together, you don't have nothing going for yourself, you don't have anything outside of her, you're going to crash out because you feel like you have nothing else to live for. And I'm gonna be honest with you, fellas. I'm not going to hold my tongue. That's a weak mentality. You're a fucking man. We all go through shit. We all get down some days. Shit ain't going to always go our way. That's fucking life. But when you decide to crash out because a woman don't want to be with you no more, whether it's you try to unalive her, you want to unalive yourself, or unalive another man, hey, listen, man, that's some weak shit. And you don't have the emotional intelligence to keep your shit in check. We all been cheated on, fam. Every last one of us. You know, shit happen. But it's up to you when shit happen. Hey, keep moving. It ain't worth your life. It ain't worth your freedom. Hey, man, women change like the fucking weather, bro. 1 minute, hey, she can want to be with you forever. Hey, the next minute, man, she may just want to leave. That's just how this shit go. That's a part of the game. You don't own her. But when you have your shit together, you got your purpose and you chasing something, when you have an end goal and a foundation and you're building a legacy for yourself, hey man, it doesn't matter who walk out of your life. None of it matters because at the end of the day, you got your purpose. You got your goals. You got your mission. That's the only thing that matters. It's your mission. It doesn't matter if she decides to leave, if she never want to come back. Man, it don't matter if she fucking another dude across the street. So what, bro? So what? It's just how the game go. As long as you got your purpose and you on your mission as a man, that's the only thing that should keep you moving forward. You can get another girl because what y'all fail to understand, women are attracted to purposeful men. You can get another girl. Not saying you can't get down. I'm not saying you can't be hurt if something like this happened. But to totally crash out because somebody leave you and they don't want to be with you no more, that's some sucker shit. It's just we stay in a time, man, where men are weaker. Simple fact, because men and women are trading places. There's no way in 2025 that women and men should be trading emotional places, bro. There's no way. I don't care what you're going through. We all go through something. Hey, Figure it out. Get your shit together. Figure it out. Do what you got to do. But crashing out is not the way. Crashing out because somebody don't want to be with you no more, and that's not the way. You got shit to do. So the next time some shit happen, process it and understand that, hey, as long as I got my purpose, that's all that matters. As long as I got my mission, I can keep moving. And once y'all understand this, focus on yourself and put y'all goals and y'all mission before y'all put a woman. I don't care if it's your wife, I don't care if it's your girlfriend, I don't care how long y'all been together. As long as you put your goals and prioritize your mission before anything, you will always be all right. Stay on your fucking mission, fellas.
Final talking point for tonight, and I purposely say this for last. Now, earlier I shared with y'all this. I had shared with y'all that one of the main reasons were, us men will crash out is not because of, us, ourselves or fellow brothers or different things like that, right? Normally it's dealing with women. It's dealing with the women that we choose to occupy our time and space. It's women who we chose to procreate with. It's women who we choose to give our resources to. It's women who we choose to be sacrificial for. Now, a lot of things that the brother was saying I agree with, but there are certain things that I have to push back on him about. The first thing is this. When it's dealing with relationships, right, I had learned through my personal anecdotal experience, I had learned that the reason why we crash out is simply because we have not been taught properly as men to handle situations dealing with relationships, let alone we have not been taught how to properly vet out certain type of women who would fit for our program. That's the first part. The second part is this. And this and I'm going to make this a race thing. Us as black people, we are very irresponsible with our children. What I mean by that? We're very irresponsible because we're not teaching our children about being about their purpose, let alone our sons. We're not teaching them about that. You need to put your purpose first over everything else. We're not teaching them that. We're teaching them survival. That's what we're doing. We're teaching them, due to my experience as an adult, I don't want them to go through the same exact experience. So what you end up doing is hindering them. You enable them. And so these boys start growing up. They start growing up not having no type of connection whatsoever about dealing with relationship problems. No critical thinking skills. No conflict resolution. No proper skills in learning how to vet out a person properly or vet out a woman properly. But check this out. We'll definitely teach our sons how to Mac or dirty Mac and do all these different things, right? We'll definitely teach our sons to go after the woman based on how she look and her aesthetics, but not her character. But everything else, we lack in that. We lack teaching them that. So therefore, when they become adults, that's where the problems is happening. That's where the problems is happening. Missed opportunities. And then another thing too is that the brother, he was ultimately implying this, what baby boomers would say. Baby boomers would say, suck it up, buttercup. That's that bullshit that they'll say. Suck it up. Instead of providing them resources and opportunity to how to deal with it. They'll say, suck it up without guiding them. The storm after. It's almost as though it's having a crab in a barrel mentality. And so now you have all these boys who become men, right? Don't know how to process their emotions, don't know how to use critical thinking skills. And then they're crashing out, getting with these said women, right? And they're crashing out and doing the things where he's implying where they get so mad they end up unaliving the woman and themselves and children and different things like that. That's the God honest truth. So it's easy to say this. It's easy to say that, hey, you need to suck it up and blah, 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 whatever. It's easy to say that. But in reality, it is hard for you to actually mentor and educate, especially a culture that's already as destructive that it is. So we got to hold ourselves accountable. Thank you for the gift, by the way. Thank you. We got to hold ourselves accountable for the choices and decisions that we're teaching, even with our children, especially our sons. We do. We really do. We got to want to teach them that these things matter. Your mental health matter. You learning how to vet out women. It matters. And another thing he was mentioning about is purpose. Purpose is cool, right? I talk about it all the time over here at the lounge, right? I talk about purpose and everything all the time. But it's cool. It's a great word. It sounds great. But however, we should be asking ourselves is, what is purpose? What is the exact purpose? How did that look like? Because purpose could be anything. Purpose could be, just like you said, that young man unaliving that woman. That's purpose. He made it into a purpose. So how do it look like? What is exactly purpose? What is the end result of this said purpose that he's talking about? Is it something that's positive, where it can ultimately uplift not only the man, the woman, but actually culture in the community? Or purpose could be destructive. Matter of fact, I was talking to Lionel. We was having a conversation about the Matrix, right? And this remind me of the scene in the Matrix where Neo had met with Agent Smith the second time around, and this in the Matrix Reloaded, all right, and a sequel. He was talking to Agent Smith. And in this scene, Agent Smith was talking about purpose. He was giving his personal anecdotal analysis about what purpose truly is. At the end of the day, he made it his mission that purpose was to be destructive, was to destroy everything. So is that purpose? Is that purpose? So we have to be abundantly clear when we're talking about purpose. Their purpose out there where they say that your purpose is for you to sleep with as many women as possible. Is that purpose? Their purpose out there where they say that, a man should annoy women and be a mental guy. Men go their own way. Is that purpose? So we have to be clear about the purpose. We have to be abundantly clear about how that looks. And then we have to choose the purpose that we want to happen for our life. Just as the same as that thing that I had to choose a purpose for my life. I had to choose a lane. I did. So it's the same as that breath. We have to teach our younger men that they have to choose a lane too. A purpose that's going to be beneficial and not self-destruction. That's what I believe. And yes, I agree. People are not honest about their purpose. I agree. Because in reality, I believe a lot of people don't even know their purpose. I'm just going to be honest with you. I honestly believe a lot of people, preferably a lot of men don't even know their purpose. They just existing. They just living without purpose. One thing that he did say, and this is true because I talk about it and I teach it about it over here at the lounge. He did say that when a man do have purpose, women are attracted to men who actually have a purpose. That is true. That is true. And the reason why that is true is because we've seen evidence of that. With the late, great Kevin Samuels, right, one of his main shows that he did was when he was on reacting and having these women call on the show. And guess what they was asking? They was asking about high value men. They wanted men to have a high economical status. They wanted men to have a high financial status as well too. All of that is part of purpose. Because women are attracted to men like that. But however, even the average man could have that same type of purpose. And that's true. But then it goes back to what is considered as purpose, even for, certain type of women. And then this also goes back to why I keep saying over and over again about vetting. Where you need to see if that purpose aligns with each other. Because if it don't align, then guess what? That woman don't qualify for you. And it's that simple. So other than that, brother, son, that's all I have for this particular episode when I'm talking about my crash out. My crash out, how it cost me my life. My crash out indeed cost me my life, where it changed my life. But it changed my life in a way where now I'm living a whole new different life. And I have a whole new different opportunities where I'm here and I can help educate and teach my brothers. I could point out the errors in my brother's ways, right? And help them to move forward in their life. Just like I stated earlier, one brother at a time, because I know I can't save everybody, but one brother at a time. I know I can do that. That's my lane. That is my lane. So tonight, the whole goal of this live is to share with you my crash out. To let you know that even if you're experiencing this right now, if you're experiencing your crash out moment right now, I want to let you know that, first of all, brother, it's going to be okay. As long as you're here right now, as long as you're listening right now, you have opportunity. You do. You have opportunity to choose what you want to do. However, that choice is. Now, my preferred choice is that you choose to do things better. You hold yourself accountable for the choices and decisions that you have made up to this point. And then afterwards, you start moving forward to solutions where you're improving yourself, where you become a man of value and purpose. But at the end of the day, it's totally up to you, brothers, if you want to choose it or not. I'm just here to talk about it. Mike, what's up with it? Yeah, you always late, bro. But nah, you can always catch the replay, bro. You can always catch the replay. But shout out to you. Appreciate you tuning in. And matter of fact, shout out to everybody who tuned in to the stream. I appreciate it a whole lot. I appreciate y'all giving a thumbs up to support the channel. I also appreciate those who have sponsored the live stream as well too. Thank you so much for the gifts that were shared tonight. Appreciate the share outs and everything as well too. All right. Just to let y'all know that I do have memberships open if you want to be part of this lounge family. By all means, you can sign up for the membership as well too, where you get exclusive content from me. All right. So that is available to your viewing pleasure, if you want to take an opportunity of that, all right? Make sure you also catch the replay of my other live streams as well. To a matter of fact, I did an Eric's Urban episode last night, so make sure you catch the replay of that stream. And let me know what you think about that, all right? So other than that, make sure you have your notifications set when I go live again. And I got a lot of things that is lined up as well too for the Lounge family too, and I'm working on, all right? So I got a lot of things that line up. It's going to be, very beneficial for all of us, all right? So make sure you stay subscribed to this channel, okay? So other than that, appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope the things I share with y'all is give you a different perspective, you know what I mean? So other than that, y'all have a great and wonderful night, and I will see you again on the next episode.